Your shoulders started hurting, doing something embarrassingly simple, reaching for a glass on the second shelf, putting on a jacket, or just rolling over in bed at night. And if that sounds familiar, you are not alone. And more importantly, you are not broken. Here's something most people over 60 never get told. Shoulder pain in your 60s and beyond is not something you just have to live with. And the answer is almost never rest and avoid movement. In fact, that is usually what makes it so much worse. What your shoulders actually need at your age right now is the right kind of movement. Targeted, gentle, intelligent movement that rebuilds strength, restores range of motion, and keeps pain from ever coming back. Today, I am going to walk you through exactly that. The exercises that physical therapists actually use, the ones that work with your aging body, not against it. And I am going to explain why each one matters, what is happening inside your shoulder when you do it, and how to make sure you are doing it correctly so you get results instead of more pain. Let's start with something most people do not realize about the shoulder joint itself, because once you understand this, everything else will make so much more sense. Your shoulder is the most mobile joint in your entire body. It can move in more directions than your hip, your knee, your elbow, any of them. But that incredible range of motion comes with a trade-off. It is also the least stable joint in your body. The ball of your upper arm bone sits in a socket that is barely deeper than a golf tee. What keeps everything in place is not bone structure. It is muscle, a very specific group of muscles called the rotator cuff and the surrounding muscles that support them. Now, here is where age enters the picture. As we get older, the tendons in that rotator cuff begin to lose their elasticity. The cartilage thins, blood flow to the tendons decreases, which means healing slows down dramatically. Small tears and micro damage that your body used to repair overnight can now linger for weeks. The muscles weaken from disuse, especially if you have been avoiding movement because of pain. And this creates a cycle that traps so many people over 60. The pain makes them move less. The reduced movement causes more weakness and stiffness, and the stiffness creates more pain. Research published in the Journal of Shoulder and Elbow Surgery has shown that targeted progressive shoulder exercises not only reduce pain in older adults, but can actually reverse some of the structural decline in rotator cuff health over time. That is not just managing symptoms, that is actually turning back the clock on what is happening in there. So let's build that routine, starting with the foundation. The first thing every person over 60 needs to do before any shoulder exercise, and this is non-negotiable, is a pendulum warm-up. This is not a strength exercise. It is a decompression exercise, and it is one of the most powerful tools you have. Here is how it works. Stand next to a table or chair, lean forward slightly, and let your affected arm hang completely loose. Then let it swing gently, forward and backward like a pendulum clock, then side to side, then in small, lazy circles. Do this for about 60 to 90 seconds. What is happening here is remarkable. By letting gravity do the work and allowing the arm to swing freely, you are creating a gentle traction effect on the joint. The head of the humerus, that ball at the top of your arm, actually pulls away slightly from the socket, relieving compression on irritated tendons and lubricating the joint with synovial fluid. It is the shoulder equivalent of cracking your knuckles, except it is actually good for you. Many people feel immediate relief just from this alone. From there, we move into what is arguably the most important exercise category for shoulder health at any age, but especially after 60, external rotation strengthening. This is what holds your shoulder in proper alignment. When your external rotators are weak, and in most people with shoulder pain they are, the head of that humerus starts to migrate forward in the socket. Over time, that compressed position is exactly what causes impingement, rotator cuff irritation, and that deep, grinding ache you feel when you lift your arm. Here is how to do it with a resistance band, which is ideal for this age group because you can control the tension precisely. Anchor a light resistance band at elbow height on a door or sturdy pole. Stand sideways to it. Keep your elbow bent at 90 degrees, tucked against your side. Hold the band in the hand closest to the anchor. Now, keeping that elbow glued to your ribs, slowly rotate your forearm outward away from your body until it is pointing straight out in front of you. Hold for 2 seconds. Then slowly, and slowly is the key word here, bring it back. That controlled return is where half the benefit is. Aim for 2 sets of 12 repetitions 3 times a week. What you are specifically training here is a muscle called the infraspinatus and its smaller partner, the teres minor. These 2 muscles are chronically weak in people with shoulder pain, and strengthening them is like tightening the guy wires on a tent pole. Once they have proper tension, the whole structure stabilizes. Now let's talk about a mistake I see constantly, and it is probably costing you more progress than anything else. People over 60 who have shoulder pain almost universally try to work through their pain by going heavier, going harder, or pushing into ranges of motion that cause sharp discomfort. The thinking is usually something like, I need to break through the stiffness. And this is exactly backwards. There is a concept in sports medicine called the pain-free arc of motion. And for effective shoulder rehabilitation, especially in older adults, you want to stay within it. Sharp pain during an exercise is your nervous system telling you that tissue is being compressed or stressed beyond what it can handle right now. Training into that sharp pain does not break through stiffness. It causes microtrauma, inflammation, and protective muscle guarding that makes the joint stiffer the next day. A mild, dull ache or gentle stretch sensation, that is fine. That is therapeutic. Sharp, stabbing, or radiating pain, stop and modify the exercise. The goal is to find the version of each exercise you can perform pain-free and build from there. Your body responds to progressive overload, gradually increasing challenge over time, but only when the nervous system feels safe. Working in pain keeps the nervous system in a guarding state, and guarded muscles cannot be trained effectively. The next essential exercise is the wall slide, and if you have never done these, they are about to become your new best friend. Stand facing a wall, arms up, forearms flat against the surface like a goalpost shape. Your elbows are at shoulder height. Now slowly slide your arms upward along the wall as high as you comfortably can, and then slide them back down. The wall provides feedback and support, so your shoulder blades can learn to move properly, which is the real point of this exercise. You see, most shoulder problems are not just about the shoulder joint itself. They are about the scapula, your shoulder blade, and how it moves, or more often how it fails to move correctly. And a condition called scapular dyskinesis, which just means abnormal scapular movement, is present in the vast majority of people with chronic shoulder pain. The wall slide forces your shoulder blade to upwardly rotate and posteriorly tilt as your arm rises, exactly what it needs to do to keep the subacromial space open and prevent impingement. Do 2 sets of 10 wall slides, moving slowly and with intention. If you can do these pain-free, you can progress by adding a slight resistance band around your wrists over time. Here is where the science gets genuinely fascinating. A landmark study from the American Journal of Sports Medicine looked at older adults with shoulder impingement who did rotator cuff and scapular stabilization exercises versus those who just rested. After 8 weeks, the exercise group had not only dramatically less pain, they also had measurable improvements in the the actual space inside their shoulder joint visible on imaging. The exercises physically changed the structure of their shoulder, resting did not. This works because tendons and muscles are piezoelectric. They respond to mechanical load by remodeling themselves. Even in adults in their 70s and 80s, the body retains this capacity. The tissue responds, it adapts, it gets stronger, but only if you give it the right stimulus consistently. Moving on, the next exercise is the prone Y, T, and W. And yes, this one is done lying face down on a bed or the floor. This targets the lower trapezius and the middle trapezius, two muscles that are almost always completely switched off in people with shoulder pain because of poor posture and decades of sitting forward at desks or looking at screens. Lie face down with your arms hanging off the edge of a bed or simply lying flat. For the Y position, raise both arms diagonally up and outward, forming a Y shape with your body, thumbs pointing toward the ceiling. Hold for 2 seconds, lower slowly. For the T, arms go straight out to the side at shoulder height, like a T. For the W, bend your elbows and pull them back toward your hips, squeezing your shoulder blades together. Your arms will look like a wide W shape. Do 8 to 10 repetitions of each position. These will feel surprisingly hard even without any weight, and that is exactly the point. These muscles have been dormant. Waking them up is one of the most powerful things you can do for long-term shoulder health. Let's address another myth that really needs to be put to rest. The idea that stretching alone will fix shoulder pain. Stretching feels good. Holding a cross-body shoulder stretch or a doorway chest opener feels like you are doing something productive. And gentle stretching does have its place. It can help with mobility and feel good in the moment. But if your shoulder is painful because of weakness and instability, stretching a joint that is already poorly supported does not help and can sometimes make things worse. Think of it this way: if the ropes holding up a ship's mast are loose and fraying, you do not make things better by loosening them more. You tighten them. Stability first, mobility second. That is the correct order of operations for shoulder rehabilitation, and most people have it completely reversed. This does not mean never stretch. A gentle cross body stretch for the posterior capsule, where you bring one arm across your chest and use the other arm to gently add pressure, is actually very useful for people with tight posterior shoulders, which is common. But it should be done after strengthening work, not instead of it, and always gently, never forced. The next exercise on your must-do list is standing cable or band rows, sometimes called face pulls. This exercise is extraordinary for shoulder health because it simultaneously strengthens the rear deltoid, the external rotators, and the middle trapezius all in one movement. Here is how to do it with a resistance band at home. Anchor your band at head height. Hold an end in each hand, palms facing each other. Step back so there is tension in the band with your arms extended. Now pull both hands toward your face, elbows flaring out to the sides, hands coming to forehead level. At the end of the pull, try to spread your hands apart and think about pulling your shoulder blades together and down. Hold for 1 second at the peak, then extend back out slowly and with control. This exercise directly counteracts the forward rounded posture pattern that contributes to so much shoulder pain in people over 60. It is like hitting a reset button on your posture and your shoulder mechanics simultaneously. 3 sets of 15 is ideal, and you can do these daily if you want to. Now for a tip that almost no one talks about, but that physical therapists consider essential: sleep position. How you sleep may be completely undoing all the good work you are doing during the day. Sleeping on the painful shoulder compresses the joint for 7 or 8 hours straight, cutting off circulation to already compromised tendons and causing that classic dead arm soreness in the morning that many people mistake for arthritis. If you sleep on your side, sleep on the good shoulder, not the painful one, and place a pillow in front of you to hug with your top arm so it does not fall forward and drag on the shoulder joint. If you sleep on your back, a small pillow or rolled towel under each arm to support them in a neutral position can make a dramatic difference in morning shoulder stiffness. And while we are talking about things that happen away from exercise, posture during daily activities is enormous. Every hour you spend with rounded shoulders and a forward head creates a tightening of the front of the shoulder, the pec minor and the anterior capsule, and a lengthening and weakening of the back. A simple fix is the doorway check. Every time you walk through a doorway, take 2 seconds to draw your shoulder blades gently back and down and lift your sternum slightly. Do this every single time. After a few weeks, it becomes automatic and your resting posture changes meaningfully. Let's talk about the sleeper stretch for a moment because it is extremely common advice that gets applied incorrectly and can cause real harm. The sleeper stretch, where you lie on your side and use the upper hand to press the lower forearm toward the ground, is designed to stretch the posterior capsule of the shoulder. In the right person, it is helpful, but done with too much force or in people who have certain types of rotator cuff tears, it can compress and further injure the joint. The rule is simple. If a stretch causes any pain inside the joint or a pinching sensation at the front of the shoulder, stop immediately. A good stretch should feel like a gentle, dull pulling sensation in the back of the shoulder, nothing more. If you are unsure whether the sleeper stretch is appropriate for your specific shoulder, that is one to check with a physiotherapist first. Your complete routine brings all of this together. Start with your pendulum swings for 90 seconds. Move into band external rotations, 2 sets of 12. Do your wall slides, 2 sets of 10. Then prone Y, T, and W, 8 to 10 reps of each. Finish with face pulls, 3 sets of 15. The whole thing takes about 15 to 20 minutes, and done 4 days a week consistently, most people see meaningful improvement within 4 to 6 weeks. Not just less pain, better function, better range of motion, and a shoulder that works for you instead of against you. The biggest thing standing between most people and pain-free shoulders is not knowledge anymore. It is consistency. These exercises are not dramatic. They are not hard. On any given day, you might feel like you are barely doing anything, but this is cumulative medicine. Every session is depositing something into your shoulder health account, and the returns compound over time in a way that is genuinely remarkable to experience. One final, genuinely important thing, and I say this with real care, not as a legal formality. If your shoulder pain is severe, if you have had a recent injury or fall, if your pain is accompanied by numbness or tingling down your arm, or if you have been diagnosed with a significant rotator cuff tear, please talk to your doctor or a physical therapist before starting any exercise program. These exercises are designed for general shoulder health maintenance and mild to moderate pain, and a professional who can see your specific situation will always give you better guidance than any video can. Your shoulder deserves that individualized attention. If this gave you something useful today, whether that is a new exercise, a correction on something you were doing wrong, or just a reason to feel hopeful about your shoulder, hit the like button. It genuinely helps more people find this information who need it. And subscribe if you want more of this. Practical, science-backed health content made specifically for people over 60 who want to keep moving and keep living well. Drop a comment below and tell me, which shoulder is giving you trouble and how long has it been a problem? I read every single one. Next week, I am covering the knee, specifically the exercises that research says can reduce knee arthritis pain by up to 50% in just 8 weeks. You will not want to miss that one.